Warzone has a huge skill-based matchmaking problem, and Drifter made a really good video about it and kind of showcasing what's going on with game modes with skill-based matchmaking. If you guys like today's video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Kind of how I'm doing right here with Drifter. We're going to go ahead and subscribe. I'll link the original video down below, so if you guys want to listen to this video without my commentary, it'll be down in the description. So let's kind of get started on this, guys.
Hey guys, Drifter here. I've been feeling a lot better lately, and I've had a lot more energy to go out and do more things. And I've been putting some of that extra energy into playing Warzone more regularly, because the original Warzone, Call of Duty Verdansk, in 2020 was one of my favorite Call of Duty experiences of the last decade. It was, for me at least, a lot more interesting than regular multiplayer, so I was really excited to kind of try to get back into the swing of things, to kind of pick up where I left off, hop right back in, and have a good time with Verdansk. But Verdansk just isn't quite the same as it used to be. Much in the way that you can't put the genie back in the bottle or close Pandora's box, the community can't unlearn the modern aggressive tactics that streamers like myself have employed for a very long time.
So that's fair, right? That's pretty fair to say. Obviously, we're not the same people. We've gone through what 5 years, like 4 different maps, of different Warzone experiences. Especially like obviously for Verdansk being back, we've kind of lost a lot of the more aggressive behaviors. So I really would want to see what his opinion would be on maybe last year, or even like, you know, what Caldera felt like if he thinks this is aggressive, but losing balloons and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, players, we've learned a lot, right? We're a lot smarter, we're a lot better. The intricacies of loadouts, and everything that we've had to, like utility boxes and everything, we've all used that to our advantage, and we use it to a heightened skill level. So I'm happy Verdansk is back. It definitely isn't the same BR that it once was when it dropped, obviously, because the player base is a whole lot better. And yeah, so you're gonna see that varying difference. It's not gonna be the exact same to 2020.
Map and gameplay may be mostly the same, but the players have evolved. I noticed in my games that almost everyone is playing much more aggressively than they used to. There's a lot of trophy system on vehicle pushes, helicopter uses, UAVs going off all the time. Everybody's fighting over contracts.
Advanced UAVs
quickly to get their loadouts.
Advanced UAVs all over the place.
Fast about finishing their downs, and the mode feels very sweaty. And I thought it was just time at play here, and it is to some extent because I've been out of it for a bit. But I actually think that Warzone Casual mode made this problem much worse. So today we're going to talk all about Warzone's casual problem. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Logitech G.
Alrighty.
The A50X is by far the best.
Okay, let's skip this real quick. Okay, we're back. All right. And in my opinion, right off the bat, I don't really think Warzone Casual is like at fault here. I really think it's more of an SBMM thing. I think that Warzone Casual has its place, and I think that it's really fun for a lot of people because there isn't so much high level, high stress, high skill level like experience there. I feel like because they're allowed to kind of roam around, do what they want. He's using a crossbow right now. I could never do that in my gameplay. I mean, I can, and I have, and you can see it obviously. You know what I'm saying? It's very specific. I can't do that every single game. It takes me, if not hours, to find that one gameplay, right? Because the game's like, okay, you've been playing for hours and you've been doing so bad, you haven't gotten more than 5 kills in 3 hours in a single game. Let's gift you one. And then I could pop off for that 20 and with that crossbow. But on an average scale, that's not going to happen. And I feel like Casual opens up that experience to use other things besides the meta, and use other whatever it is. You know, a different play style, be more campy, be more body, or just be more free, right? Without having to necessarily deal with the repercussions of playing so aggressive, right? That's kind of, or having that skill level, I should say.
Familiar, Warzone Casual mode is a new mode that was added for the return of Verdansk. It's a regular Battle Royale experience, but with 120 fairly easy bots on the map and only 28 real players. You get access to the full map, full loadouts, full everything that normal mode has. It's just that the competition is significantly easier until the final few circles, when it's mostly people then. Yeah. Initially, it seemed like this was a good idea. The casual mode lets players have a place to experiment and learn the ropes of the game. It's also a great mode to go to test out loadouts in a live environment if the firing range just isn't doing it for you. It's fun for people to play that are just super casual and don't have an interest in getting much better. And this is the mode for dads that have full-time jobs. Warzone Casuals is for grad students who just don't have time to keep up with the meta but still want to get some games in. And there's a lot to like about this mode, which is why I initially praised it upon launch, but I did not foresee the impact that casual mode would have on regular Warzone. The main problem here is that the mode ultimately segmented the player base by skill level. Now 100% of the casual players only play casual mode, which means the more competitive players and the ranked grinders are the only ones left in normals right now. Ranked helps segment that too, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the video.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to talk about it. I don't really necessarily think that like it segmented it a whole lot. I'm different though. Like, right, I'm at the 0.1% of players. So it's very hard for me to be like, oh yeah, like there's still a varying amount of players I feel like that are pretty body in Warzone. Like I don't think that they're all playing Warzone casual. I run into plenty of bots. It might just be a drifter thing, and that's not my opinion. But we'll kind of just, that's just a little food for thought, right?
But for now, we're just focusing on normal, unranked Verdansk experience. The only players left in normals are going to be significantly more competitive than they were in the past.
I mean, yeah.
And honestly, even more competitive than they were in the immediate past in the last iteration of Warzone before Verdansk came out. The end result is that normal Warzone just got noticeably more competitive. So to me, normals feels a lot like hard mode. That means if I want to have a casual experience, I have to do so in casual mode and mostly fight bots.
Again, this is like the discrepancy of me and Drifter, and I've never met Drifter, and I'm sure he's a great guy and everything like that. But like for me, it's a little different. Like when I load into a game, right? But I don't necessarily think casuals or Warzone is that hard, as he's kind of making it out to be right now.
I can't have a normal or casual experience without the bots. I can't have that experience with real people anymore. And this is a sticky point for me personally because I do not enjoy killing bots at all. We talked about this in the Marathon video and in the Arc Raiders video, in my old Destiny video. And even if you want to go all the way back in time to my original Titanfall 1 review, I was very adamant that the game would be better off without the AI bots on the ground, but Microsoft just had a huge fixation with their cloud servers and letting the AI be run by cloud, but whatever, anyway. Titanfall 1 was the game where they first normalized having AI players on the battlefield.
I do remember that.
And my opinion about not liking that hasn't changed very much since then.
So on that note, I am 100% on that same wavelength, same vibe. I do not like AI in my games. I don't get any gratification for it. I don't get any dopamine from it. But with that being, that's the whole reason kind of why like I used to play Fortnite before I played Warzone. And that's kind of why I stepped away from Fortnite, because the bots just were like, I'm like, what is this? Like, it wasn't really my vibe, wasn't really what I liked. Don't get me wrong though, in this game mode, you know what you're getting, right? I feel like Fortnite kind of forced it into their regular game mode. Like, so if we go into a regular game of BR, I'm not running into AI. But if you go into a regular game of casual, you're running into AI. You know what you're getting, right? You know what you're getting at that point. So it's not like, oh, I go into casual, I'm like, why am I fighting AI? Because I know that I'm going to fight AI. It's part of the gimmick. It's part of what you're going into. So I think that for this very specific game mode, I think it's fine. It's separate. It's a way. You know what you're getting yourself into. It's not really that big of a deal.
At the end of the day, I get absolutely zero satisfaction out of killing the AI. It just doesn't do it for me. And I don't even know what's wrong with me, because everybody else seems to enjoy this.
Because I feel like
everybody else seems very content.
I feel like a lot of people really don't care. People who play casuals don't care. When I go in there, I don't care. I'm there to camo grind. I'm there to level up my guns. I'm there to level up, get XP for the event, or whatever I got to do. Because it's easy. Right, it's easy for me to get in, get out, get what I need to get in, and get done. And that's exactly what the game mode is for. So I feel like if you you go into casuals caring about the experience too much, that's not really who it's for. If you really care about the experience, you should be playing stuff like ranked. You care, right? You care about how you're playing and you're stacking up your skill level. So
to load into a game and kill bots that don't really fight back. I just don't think that's the kind of power fantasy that I was looking for in a Call of Duty game. On this topic, I also struggle with a significant number of single-player games because they don't feel adequately challenging.
I can't play single-player games either. So
unreasonable scenarios where the enemy's health scales way up and your damage scales way down, or where you have to use the fire type Pokemon on the grass type, or when they throw an unreasonable amount of enemies, like hundreds or thousands of enemies my way for me to slaughter, or a boss that's like a titan with all these superpowers or whatever.
This is
okay. So I get what he's saying. It's not very satisfying. And that's kind of like where everything kind of comes in, is if
for whatever reason,
if it's not satisfying, you got to kind of put the work in, right? You got to kind of get better at the game. You got to kind of dive in and get your nose dirty. You got to just get dirty, man. And you're going to get slapped. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. I've been in with Sal qualifiers 3 years now, and I've gone against the very best, and only way I got better was by practicing, going into scrims, going into custom games every single day, and getting shit on, getting slapped around, understanding the game better, knowing what we did, VOD reviewing, going over my VODs, going over your game, and that's at a very high level of like understanding how you can get better. But you got to put the work in, man, especially if you really don't like the casual game,
And I don't like that. I might have liked that when I was a kid. There's nothing wrong with single player games. They can be fun sometimes. But the moment I got online and started interacting with real people, the satisfaction of killing bots just completely disappeared. I only had interest in hunting humans. I like to hunt down human enemy opponents of varying skill levels and intelligences that are doing their best job to try to stay alive. For some reason, interacting with other people and hunting real people is always more fun for me, even if I'm not particularly good at it. And I gotta be real, I'm not particularly good at games anymore.
Okay.
But I would rather.
I mean, at least he's like acknowledging that, right?
And then finally kill a real person than I would kill 10 bots and then kill one person or die to a person. Even like killing the bots is less satisfying for me than just dying a bunch of times to real people. And I'm in a real pickle here because I'm clearly not good enough for normal mode anymore now that the casuals have been pulled out of it. It's almost like the community is doing skill-based matchmaking, but on a voluntary basis.
That's
or
fair.
Maybe it's a more community-friendly skill-based matchmaking problem, because all of the normal and lower skilled players are now in casual mode, which I personally, as we discussed, don't find to be very fun.
Yeah.
All of the players on the higher end of the skill level of normal and up to all the way to being very competitive, are in regular mode practicing for ranked, or they're already in ranked, just hyper sweating and grinding and doing their thing.
Yeah.
So to compare to skill-based matchmaking, the community often complains that they don't like the algorithm because it removes the variety in their games, the variety in their enemies. They don't want to get stuck playing only in that bracket over and over again until the end of time, because with the implementation of skill matching, gone were the days of some lobbies being easy and some being hard and some just being kind of normal. They're whatever the game thinks your normal should be all the time. And I think
that right there, I think, is the bigger issue. That right there, what he encapsulate is basically everything that I'm kind of talking about and kind of getting to, is skill-based matchmaking, or it's actually engagement-based matchmaking, if you will, is there to set a standard for you to be like, this is where your games are all the time because you're this good. You only play players in this bracket, not you get some of these, you kind of are just stuck with whatever the game is giving you until there comes a time where, let's say, you're not doing too well, the game thinks you're going to get off, and then it gives you an easier lobby. So I think that if you were to to remove that to where it's so varying, there's a different variety of everything, of where, there's good players, there's bad players, and there's somewhere in between, right? I think that would help the situation a whole lot more, because at the end of the day, even for me, I would love to have SBMM to where it's like I have fun when there's bots too, right? But don't get me wrong, I love ranked as well, and there should be, and I feel like that's what ranked should be, right? I've hit top 250 a ton of times, like so. I understand like when I'm playing ranked, I love to sweat. Don't get me, I'm not trying to dodge any smoke with SBMM, but when I get on the game casually, I'm having an off day. I want to run non-meta guns because I'm trying to get a different video out for you guys. I don't want to have to grind the game for 4 hours just to get that one gameplay or that one good lobby where I'm not getting absolutely choke slammed. I am like SBMM like has me in a chokehold. I am under arrest by SBMM. There's no good lobbies for me in SBMM. They don't exist. And especially now with this game, how much harder they made it. I mean, SBMM on a relaxed, like if it was like kind of like how Fortnite is, I feel like Fortnite has a pretty more relaxed SBMM. This SBMM is very, very strict. So, I mean, taking that away and letting casuals be like a low SBMM and then ranked being a very high strict SBMM and then having maybe no SBMM to very obviously okay there's certain players where we need to protect, right? There's the 0.5ers who might not have, you know, that have just some disabilities that you have to work around and protect because you know they aren't offered the same abilities as we have or how lucky I am to have the skill I am. And you definitely need to protect those players because they deserve to have fun and they have a right to play this game as well. But other than that, besides protecting that, I mean, just let it run. That's why I feel like makes Warzone and BRs so RNG and so much fun because you get players of different strengths, different weaknesses, different play styles. When everyone's playing the same way, ratty, like just super sped up and just on a whole nother level, it can kind of just make it not as fun when especially that's what like pubs are supposed to be.
A good analogy can be made to Battle Royale games because out of 150 players, you should have a mix of different skill levels. Ideally, you should have about a third of them be casual or below average in skill, bumbling around the map, learning the ropes, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Another third of them should be normal, such that that's your average expectation for an engagement. And the last chunk of people are inevitably going to be more competitive, so you have a chance to roll up on some demons. What this means for me as a player is that in any given match, I'm likely to be able to take down a casual team, coin toss on the normal team as my...
In just the last 7 days, 8,368 men.
All right. Well, I don't have premium, so we're just going to have to wait right there. But I mean, he's hitting it right on the button. Everything's right on the button.
Near the end, if I live that long, I get the opportunity to face down some demons that are more powerful than me and see if I've learned anything, push myself a little bit. It's really fun. Since Verdansk is Battle Royale, some of that's inevitably going to be random. Sometimes you'll just land on a really sweaty squad and get annihilated. Other times, you're the sweaty squad that landed on a player that's more casual than yourself, and the cycle kind of goes and goes around, but it does average out over many games to a more fun experience. What's kind of happening right now is that the experience is only fighting competitive players, like only really competitive players are still left in Verdansk. I also briefly wanted to talk about how this game has evolved and very importantly how it's lost its survival magic. In my humble opinion, Battle Royale games should reward the last person alive and not the one who has the most kills. Because the magic of these games isn't having a big map and lots of people to hunt down for a high score. The Battle Royale magic always worked best with a mix of hunting and survival.
I feel like Verdansk kind of brought that back a little bit. I feel like Verdansk,
more like survival horror.
You know,
as a lower skilled player, you're constantly avoiding the better players so they don't wipe you. You're being conservative with your resources because you're not going to be able to harvest a lot. Sneaking everywhere.
Okay. But to be fair, Verdansk kind of brought that back a little bit. I feel like if he really felt like they valued high kills, he would really not like the past Warzone we've been playing, because of especially with all of like the stuff of bringing people back, red flares, you know, gulag tokens, redeploy tokens, all that stuff. I feel like Verdansk kind of brought that back. I feel like another thing, and this might be a really hot take, is loadouts. Like he's talking about how you know, how hard it is for the survivability. The loadout is probably the most like guardrail, like baby gate shit ever. Like, don't get me wrong, I love loadouts. I love my camos. I love having my, you know, love having my guns and my perks and all that shit is amazing, right? But loadouts make it to where the super good people who can get loadouts quicker can just elevate their game that much faster, right? So I feel like the survivability, and this is what made Blackout so good, is that, and I love Blackout. Blackout was so good because you had to pick up anything and everything that you could along the way in order for it to kind of, you know, to survive, to Rambo your shit up, to like you were just had to scrap and fight and grab whatever there was. I felt like because loadouts now, it makes it to where it's so much easier, and we're never going to get away from loadouts. I'm not saying to take loadouts out. I'm just saying that Warzone has become this because we are so accustomed to loadouts. You know, if we don't have our loadout, we're fucked, basically. So I feel like the survivability of this game might be better. There could be a Warzone game mode without loadouts, and I would wonder how that would make his survivability just on that topic alone. Just food for thought. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that loadouts should be taken out, but they definitely would make the game a whole lot more interesting.
Hoarding medicines and just trying to rat your way into the final circle, but it's a really emotionally intense and difficult kind of process. And that's one of the things that made early PUBG so amazing early on. It was all sorts of gamers coming together of varying skill levels and experiences, and they're all trying these bizarre tactics. It was wild, wacky, unpredictable, and even casual gamers did have some degree of fun trying to survive. But as the streamers started landing at school over and over again and putting themselves through what is essentially a combat-oriented boot camp, the game suddenly lost its even playing field, and it lost its emphasis on survival and swapped over to who can get the most kills. And then PUBG got a lot more fun for me. This isn't unique to PUBG. Call of Duty Verdansk went through a very similar cycle, and then it was very new. And you know, these fond memories that I talk about when I'm playing it are with those casual players that were bumbling around a lot more. And typically, the older a battle royale game is, the more solved it is as a game and more
Yeah.
oriented toward high kill games. That's a topic that's complex enough that I'm probably
Yeah.
going to talk about it at a different time.
You know, like just to kind of like add a tidbit to that. I feel like the reason why it's so easy, especially in Warzone, for us to kind of focus on just high skill game, there is nothing else adding to the game that makes us think about how we might need to play it differently. There's no updates to the map. We're not adding balloons. We're not adding PRDs. We're not adding grapple hooks. Whatever it is, right? We're not adding the ability to transport, teleport. Like, we're not adding any varying elements to where the game is like changing. And I'm not saying any of the game needs any of that shit. I don't care whether it's in the game or not. I'm just saying that when we don't have the ability to try different things out, or like, okay, so for instance, like, what if we were able to have like a ghillie suit that we could buy that would help us camouflage because we know that the circle is going to be up in the mountains. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stuff like that. Just random shit. Like, it doesn't even have to be stuff like that. But they're not updating the game to where there needs to be change, right? So I feel like it just makes us focus on those things more. Whether it's regardless of like new meta guns and all that stuff, those can be easily learned pretty quickly. Warzone doesn't really give us big updates to where it changes the game, kind of like how Fortnite does, where they add, like, I don't know, like the Spider-Man web slinging stuff and dynamics, and we don't really add any flair or new dynamic or new like game changing besides Omni movement, which was like, oh, it's really more or less the same. You know, it looks like wall running and a double jump might be coming, so that would definitely change like the scope of everything, and we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, not a whole lot of stuff going on as far as the updates.
Time in a different video, but the older the battle royale game gets, it does tend to get more aggressive. So the main problem here is that the variety has been robbed from me and likely from many of you as well, but I do want to add some caveats to this criticism in order to maintain fairness. First, I'm so old, I literally remember seeing Reagan on TV and grew up with rotary phones.
Oh, man.
I'm also very out of practice because due to my disabilities, I can't grind Warzone for 4 hours a day like I used to. And then
Not many people
everybody
can,
else
though.
has had several years of practice, and the meta has evolved to just be more aggressive. So coming back to Warzone does present a mismatch for me in that I'm much worse than I used to be. But on the flip side, my competition is also much better than they used to be. And unfortunately, I don't feel that I have the opportunity to practice or get better because I can play normals or ranked and mostly get smashed. I guess that is a sort of school of hard knocks, jump into the pit and figure it out, which I could do if I had time for it, which would be lovely. And there's some people in casual mode as well that are a bit more difficult to take down, but I don't find the casual mode experience to be that overall satisfying. It really should be satisfying. It should be perfect for a boomer gamer like myself who needs a bit more of a casual experience, but I'm mentally cursed in that killing bots just puts me to sleep. So what do? Well, I don't have a clear answer for this conundrum, but I did just want to point out that Warzone basically has voluntary skill-based matchmaking now. Normals is an entirely reasonable mode for people to use to practice their skills and warm up for ranked. Ranked is where all the sweat should be, and begrudgingly, I admit that the casual mode is still probably a good thing and a net positive for the game.
It is.
At the end of the day, the gripe is somewhat more unique to me because of my issue with bots. I think a lot of the truly casual players just don't care, and they get a lot of benefit out of the mode. So I'm not sure what to say about this other than I guess I'm just going to have to get good and get better, get more used to whatever sweaty environment is left in this game, because that's all there is. All right, guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.
Alrighty, guys. So, yeah, I mean, I get exactly what he's saying. I think Warzone Casual is definitely a net positive. It's a good thing for the game. I think the bigger issue in lies SBMM. I kind of always felt this way. I think a lot of people do who are of a higher skill level, I should say. It's just annoying having to sweat all the time. And he's not even on the higher skill level part, and I feel like he would benefit from that too. So who knows? I feel like if you kind of just take away SBMM to where it just kind of have a free-for-all, you get what you get, and you move on and you do it again. I feel like that would probably benefit a lot more. I think SBMM needs to be taken out of just regular pubs, leave it for game modes like ranked. But let me know what you guys think. If you guys down in the comments think casual game mode is bad for the game, or do you think SBMM is good for the game, or you think it needs to be taken away? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys like today's video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, put those post notifications on so you don't miss any more videos like this one. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.